Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this show runs through the ages. Sinners and saints, goblins and haints, but beware as they say we're contagious. Sick with the truth, we uncover the lies. We beat on the drums as they march side by side. Wake up, my dear friends, and smell that fresh roast. Last night shall no longer exist. You're here by yourself, but you're never alone, as we spin stories you'll hear in the mist. Reptilians and greys, we folk who stay hidden. Mysterious booms, archaeology forbidden. Stay away from the village, keep off of the moors. There's a lady in white and bloodstains on the floor. So sit back and relax, take the load off your feet, as we're here to amaze, entertain, and complete. You see, my name is John, and Stacey's here too, and my, do we have something in store for you. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow, with your host, authors of Till Death and Beyond, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
Hello to you. And we're here again.
We are.
Doing our thing-a-bang with our finger bang. Is that right?
It's,
Finger
maybe.
Bang Bang. Remember the South Park?
Yes, I do remember
They had that wonderful song, that classic Finger Bang.
Weren't they like a boy band or something?
They were like a boy band.
Yeah.
Not actual boy band, but like a boy band. And you know, I tell you, man, there's been some weird things going on lately. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. Spectrum gets really strange when somebody comes dressed as the Hunger Games. I'm sorry, but for those of us that live in District 12, I don't care what side of the political world you rely on, okay, or you live on, you vote on. I don't care, okay. They're all drinking beers together, and you know, I'm from the world of pro wrestling. I know how that is. You have to go out there and buy, sell, and then you get in the bar and you're like, yeah, hey baby. But listen, the thing is, Lady Gaga came dressed totally as that creepy blonde chick from Hunger Games. What the hell was she thinking? What was she thinking?
Oh, I don't know.
You can't do that. Come on, the implications. You can't do that. And here we are in District 12.
I know.
Like, oh, damn. You know I'm going to be a tribute here in a few. Everybody that's got any kind of conspiratorial freaking podcast, anybody, yeah, they're going to be like, well, we know who the first tributes are going to be.
Your name goes in multiple times.
We asked our good friends, the fine folks of China. China, who do you think? Well, we like listening to this guy. Because they do. Hi, China. We just want to say hi to everybody in China. We love to talk about China. And we're trying to see if you can pick us up on an algorithm, China. Because everybody's been listening over there. Hey, you know what? If you guys are out underground doing the wrong thing, not supposed to be listening to me, how you doing? Wonderful, wonderful time we're having. You should, subscribe if that's allowable. And you should tell your friends if that's safe. And you should buy merchandise, which I know you can do that. And you know what? It might not take you that long to get it because it's probably made there. So you can buy a shirt or whatever, and they knock on the door like before you even hit enter.
Yep,
because they're monitoring you, and they'll be like, "Oh yes, that's CCC." Anyway, I mean that's just a little joke because they probably have like Spanish people in there in China in the sweat shop because that would just be poetic. Well, it really wouldn't be poetic, would it? Poetic would be kind of a justice thing, right? Is that when you say that?
I think so.
Like Steve Largent getting that hit on that defensive guy, and let's say,
right.
That was poetic, right?
Yes, I think that was poetic.
That was poetic. Okay. Well, because he got knocked out first in the season, and he comes back and knocks that guy out. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, you're like most people. So that's just go with it. Think about it using this weird knowledge in a trivia thing later on. You'll thank me when you play Trivial Pursuit. In Seattle Seahawks history, one time wide receiver number 80, Steve Largent, got knocked out by a Denver Bronco. Did Steve Largent A, return a hit to win a game later in the same season, B, cry like a baby and ask why don't penalties occur like Cam Newton, or C, take his ball and go home like most people? Well, the answer is A. Yes, the answer is A. And I'm sorry about the Cam Newton thing for all Cam Newton fans or fans of the team that he was on at the time, because I know I love you, buddy. And I would never, ever make fun of them guys. See, I won't even say their name. I will not even say their name.
But you weren't making fun of them, just Cam Newton, because he's a little bit of a crybaby.
Little bit.
Little bit.
Little bit. So, a little bit about Cam and the Panthers. Oh, I mean, Cam and the Patriots. That's who I was talking about.
Right.
You know, most of my company are Patriot fans.
Are they?
Yeah, it was rough being in New England because I was surrounded by Patriot fans. They almost got me a few times too, just because of their bloody loyalty. They are so loyal to the Patriots that you just kind of want to get in on it. You know, you kind of want to be part of that action.
Right.
It doesn't matter what they did. You know, you guys remember the jokes. Oh yeah, I'm Tom Brady, huh? Because they got a little bit of Cajun in them too. They're like, oh yeah, catfish. But I tell you, they didn't get me. They came close, but they didn't get me. Lifelong Dolphins fans are nary got by Patriot fans or Bills fans for that matter. I don't care if Bills go all the way from the Super Bowl to the Super Duper Bowl. Right. I will not root for the Bills. And I hope that I'm not isolating a lot of people. In fact, most of you are probably not football fans. So I'm safe. It's a safe space, right?
I think so.
Not a whole lot of football fans that also share a love for the paranormal.
This is very true.
I wondered why for years, and then I figured out maybe they have like some really good paranormal programming on during football games. I can't figure out any other reason.
I have no idea.
Anyway, speaking of paranormal programming, like that segue?
I liked it.
I like to have like a little music, like some kind of, you know, like a magic book thing that has that rainy, I call it rain music.
Where you turn the page.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like sprinkle sound. I don't know what the actual effect would be.
Like fairy dust.
Yeah, like fairy dust. It's something like, it's a magical thing.
Right.
I want the magic sound whenever I have a good segue and something real deep in the background going, segue. You know? Just for when you get it properly right. Because I work on these things. I think when I write this stuff down, these bullet points, I'm like, yeah, you know, if I can remember it, it'd be a great segue.
What happens when you have an amazing segue and then you ruin it by explaining about your amazing segue?
That only happens once. It's kind of like having a beautiful wife that is also a smart ass. You got to take the wins with the losses.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So anyway, my segue, Discovery Plus. I like it.
I like
and now to Ollie with the weather. It's cold. Discovery Plus is amazing. I really liked it. I actually paid for the non-commercial version because I'm pretentious and I can't wait on things like that.
Right.
I can't be bothered. That's the British term for it.
Takes too long to fast forward through a commercial.
My favorite thing from you Brits ever, besides Sherlock, is honestly, I can't be bothered. Or she can't be bothered. Or, oh, he can't be bothered. You know, whatever. I love the can't be bothered thing because it just explains so much. 3 words never meant so much to me. So many days I can't be bothered. You know, it's just the best. It's just the best. I live my life in that mode. Sometimes I want to put that as my status.
Right.
John can't be bothered. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You remember the old days of Facebook when people would put like Linda is feeling happy or
right
or whatever. I think that at one time it said something like your name,
right,
and then you would put like is whimsical,
right.
You know what I mean? People don't do that. I think that's a missed opportunity. We ought to open our own social media.
I think you can still do it, but people just don't really do it.
Yeah,
I don't actually know.
Do you remember what I'm talking about though? Right?
Yes.
It would actually say your name, and people would put something like is cheery. Yeah,
it gave you like a bunch of emotions and stuff and things you could put down.
Yeah. So we need that back. That's a really cool thing. I want a social media that only does that.
You can't actually post things. You can just tell people how you're feeling.
Well, preloaded things. I don't want to know how they're feeling in depth.
You want to know how they're feeling from these 25 predetermined emotions? Yeah,
from these choices that are socially acceptable to me.
I see.
Not socially acceptable. Johnily is so acceptable. It's just, you know, like Kim is feeling okay. And that tells me everything I need to know without some big diatribe on how she's not feeling great or not feeling bad. She's feeling okay, you know? So Discovery Plus, you know, again, pay for the extra couple dollars there and get the extraness of not having commercials.
Right.
Because that's extra cool. And this is not a paid programming thing. And that's another thing that pisses me off, by the way. This has nothing to do with anything I'm talking about right now, but the randomness of your mind will thank you for what I'm doing right now, because we have these little, you know, neurons firing off all the time, and it has all these random thoughts. You could be doing one thing and thinking of something else. You've all had sex before, and it just happens, you know. You're like, oh no, stove's on. So that's kind of how my brain works sometimes, and it's doing that right now. So what pisses me off, what grinds my gears, if you will, is 100% paying for the extra YouTube, and by extra I mean ad-free YouTube. The no ads on the tube of you. Right,
the premium.
And then all these jackalopes decide, well, we're going to have paid programming within. And he puts up that little thing like programming paid within or whatever. Look, man, whoever the man is here, whoever's the one doing this with your craziness, why am I paying money if you're still letting them put it in the side the video? Okay, so all you content creators out there, the best way to get me to not subscribe or to unsubscribe is to do that. It's to bait and switch me. All right. I don't want to hear you talk about whatever Throne of Legends game.
Manscape.
Yeah. Well, they can talk about Manscaped. It's usually funny. But, you know, I don't need to hear about League of Legends or whatever. And some guy acting like he actually played it. Be like, well, that's right now, League of Legends. 3 minutes later, they're finishing up. And it's just like, hey, I would like to take care of everybody here that watches the channel. And for all you out there that watch the channel, you got to get these new earbuds. You know, it's little butts that go in your ear. And it makes sound. Little sounds of farts, you know. That's going to be the only thing you'll ever see me sell. If I ever come on one of our YouTube videos, and we're making little clip videos right now, it's going to be something like that. It's going to be little asses you put in your ear, okay? Or a miniature jackass that's actually alive, like a 2-foot tall jackass. Anybody got one of those to sell? I'll sell that for you. I'll stop in the middle of this video right now, this podcast, and be like, hey, I got a jackass. He's 2 foot tall. His name's Hector. and he knows his damn name. There's a bunch of them, though. There's like 3,000 of them. I'll sell one to all of you, and they're all named Hector. It was too much time to try to teach them all individual names. Right. But we just...
Well, it's easier to call them, because you can just say Hector, and then they all come.
I mean, or it'd be like... It's like, did you hear something? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I guess they're not 2-inch tall, are they?
No, you said 2 foot tall.
Yeah, 2 foot tall.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty normal, isn't it?
Not normal, but normal for a miniature donkey, maybe.
Oh, do they have miniature donkeys?
I don't know. Yeah. Like miniature goats and stuff.
Oh, that'd be really cool. Or to put a miniature donkey with a regular goat. I mean, goats don't get that kind of superiority very often. It'd be really like a bad day for the... Okay, I'm so sorry. Anyway, back on to Discovery Plus.
The not a commercial Discovery Plus conversation.
Yeah. So very cool stuff. Ben Hansen has a show on there where he's looking at UFOs, and it is absolutely awesome. Do you remember the name of it?
I do. It's called UFO Witness.
UFO what? You kind of broke up there.
It's called UFO Witness.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's
I thought you said UFO Witless. I was like, we've done a lot of those.
Oh, I really like it, and I think his approach to it's really good because it's not
I can dance to it, Casey.
All the known stuff. You know, it's not the normal cases.
I knew everything he did.
Well, I know, but you know, it's not the biggest case. It's not Roswell.
Okay.
Right. So he does, and he talks to a lot of eyewitnesses that were there.
Yeah, and they're not going to be there very much longer. Like everyone he talked to is like, you know, well, this one's 87, and it's like
the last surviving member of.
I saw it. It had these black eyes, and it was saying something to me. Hold on a second. You're not supposed to be here, honey. You were dead 5 years. Oh shit. It's that kind of witness, but it's really cool. And
it is a very good show.
Ben Hansen is one of the good people. He, you know, we saw one of his lectures back at Scarefest, and it went terribly wrong, and he just kept his cool throughout and all this stuff. But other than that, since that time, I've sent him, you know, several pieces of evidence and things, and he's always been really cool. And looked at everything, and no matter what it was, he's taken the time out to do it, and he's always corresponded well whenever we've had a show request, whether he could or couldn't do it,
right?
Because of something he's working on. He's one of the good people. He's one of the ones that never let anything go to his head, or he's never acted in a different way. He's always just been pretty down to earth and cool. And people like that I can watch 7 days a week. But it's also, all joking aside, the most interesting UFO show I've seen in a long time. And she's right. It's very good. The second episode got me excited because it's one of my favorite stories, and that's Kecksburg, and I love everything about that. When they showed like a split second of it, and I was like, Kecksburg. Stacey's sitting there, and she don't put it over. She'll never put me over for anything, but it comes on. It's like Kecksburg, But that was only because it's not a UFO. They don't say this on there, but it's the damn Nazi bell. I'm just telling you, it's that damn Nazi bell that went missing. One of those scientists knew it was all over, and he got in there and he went in the future. And then they found a bunch of dead damn Nazis in that bell.
Well, I like the show because I learned something on it. It's a lot of new information.
I like to think the Nazi bell, they turned it upside down like the cup ride at the cheap carnivals, and it just went way too fast, because you can see time travel. If you've ever been in that damn Himalayan, I can see how time travel could occur in the Himalayan. Or in that stupid freaking vat they put you in where it goes so fast, gravity leaves.
Oh yeah, and it lifts you up on.
No, it's it's wretched. It's horrible. You've done it, right?
Yes, and I went on a ride like that so many times in a row when I was younger that I now cannot go on anything that spins.
Really?
Yeah, it makes me sick as can be.
Who let you go on that thing more than once in a row?
I was with a friend and her dad at the carnival, and we just went on.
Were they trying to kill you?
No, she went with me. I mean, we went 3 or 4 times.
Was he trying to kill you too?
No, we went on our own.
I need to look that guy up and just be like, excuse me, Mr. Johnson. I need to know how your daughter's well-being is.
We went on like 3 or 4 times in a row, and I was so sick after that. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Have you ever seen somebody throw up during it?
No, that was almost me.
Do you know what happens?
Yeah, it flies back into their face because of the gravity thing.
Yeah. Pretty cool, because it's like a regurgitating.
No, stop.
Anyway, yeah, it's pretty interesting. No, I think that's total time travel, but yeah, you learn something, yada yada yada, cool stuff. We 2 thumbs up, all that good stuff, right?
Right.
Other good stuff on there is the Ghost Adventures. They have new ones on there, like exclusives, because they just can't help themselves. They make nothing but good programming, and I actually still have not. This is really bad, John. I still haven't watched a Lisa Lamb episode, and
no, I'm so excited for that episode, and we just want to have enough time to be able to sit down and really devote to watching it without having to stop.
It's the only video. It's the only video on YouTube that's creeped me out in the last 10 years, probably, and that's why we haven't watched it. Be honest with you.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I just thought we hadn't really had time to.
No.
I don't want to start it and have to stop halfway through. I want to be able to sit down and really, and we're going to stop it and talk about it and rewind and.
Yeah, that's how we watch. That's how we watch. The Comedy Store one though, which is a newer episode, and these things come on Travel Channel, but the Comedy Store was great because we've seen Rogan talk about it and Joey Diaz talk about it. Joey Diaz talking about anything is great, and God, I miss Rogan. I know he's on Spotify. But nobody watches Spotify. Sorry, Spotify. Thanks for having us. But, nobody watches that. And I just noticed today they actually put a full-length Rogan up on YouTube.
Oh, did they?
It's like Spotify's trying to earn its money back. It's like, hey, let's get some of that YouTube money because nobody's watching it over here. Seriously, are any of you watching Rogan now? You remember how it used to pop up on your YouTube? We used to
watch it constantly.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
We don't really, especially the ones with Joey Diaz on them.
Yeah.
It's so hilarious.
Every time with Joey. But it was fantastic. And, when he did the Spotify deal, there for a long time, they hadn't taken it down, but then it was gone. And it was just on Spotify. Now, I've watched the UFO. They had a UFO episode like early December.
Right.
And I watched that on Spotify. And you just pull up Spotify, it's there, the video. It's the feature thing because, they paid him $10 billion in virgins. And whatever they paid him, it was a lot.
In virgins.
So it's...
I didn't know you could quantify virgins like that.
Well, it's people do a lot of stuff for a lot of crazy shenanigans these folks get up to for the promise of virgins. But I was just thinking, that's probably the most expensive thing I could think of currency-wise for the underworld. But anyway, Discovery Plus, good thing. Something else that's happened recently is Kyler heard his name voiced
creepy
in the kitchen by a girl that sounded like Ariana. That wasn't Ariana. She was asleep, and the other girl was with me. So that leaves all the girls out unless Wavy learned how to throw her voice, which I wouldn't put it past her.
No, she would do that just to be devious.
Yeah. She'd be like, Kyler. So he was just curious, and it was like his curious voice, like, hey, who said my name in the kitchen?
Yeah.
What? Who said my name in the kitchen? Nobody. That kind of thing. So luckily he's 3, so he forgets easily.
Right.
Probably isn't thinking about it, or he is thinking about it nonstop and it's causing him nightmares. But either way, that's growing up. We all have those stories.
It happens.
At least his didn't happen under a piano like mine. So they tell him to go, play in the trees with the ropes. So as long as we keep away from that, then
right,
it's good. Wouldn't it be weird if it was the same thing? It
would be very weird.
I thought about that. Like,
I think it's going to be different. It'd be different with him, though, because we're aware of that kind of thing, and we don't just play it off or tell him he shouldn't hear it.
Mine was a guy anyway. So
there you go.
It's different. I wasn't lucky enough to have some girl. That would have been awesome. I'd have been friends. We could have drawn pictures. I had a guy who, just made me do bad things. Speaking of watching stuff, what is John and Stacey watching right now? I get all kinds of requests. Like, I get weird questions sometimes from the randoms. And the randoms is a family of people who only listen to the show every now and then, I believe.
Right.
But they're always compelled to send a letter, which I love getting letters. I love it. Not letters like in the mailbox, which would be awesome. Maybe I should start sending like a P.O. box. I want real letters.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Back in the day, people got real letters.
Well, let's get a P.O. box, and then we'll put it up on the website, and we'll tell people to send us actual mail.
Like people used to get like cool stuff like anthrax and
you want a P.O. box so you can get some anthrax in the mail?
Death threats with like newspaper clippings and stuff. We don't get anything like that.
We should have a P.O. box so people can send us suspicious packages full of like documents and
oh my God, the documents
and whistleblower stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I want some documents.
Wow. It's a lot different than the stuff I usually get, which is people just want to blow the whistle.
You just want death threats.
Yeah.
I just want a death threat. I just want people to care about me.
That's how you know you've made it. You haven't really made it till somebody's like, I'm going to kill you if I ever find you. And it's like, well, asshole, you don't have my address, do you? And they're like, well, actually I do. Okay, so what are we watching, Stacey?
Wow. Well, randomly and sporadically we watch
a bunch of stuff that we don't finish. And not because we don't want to finish it, because we have every intention of finishing it. It's just stuff how you have no idea how busy we are. It's the question everybody asks me. I don't know how you find the time to do everything you do. And I'm like, weird Australian guy with half English, half Nordic accent. I find the time, by not finishing things.
Yeah, there you go.
I just do my projects and then sit down for a nice night of television that ends up being a conversation that ends up being terrorized by children.
Right.
That ends up being an anxiety attack that ends up being sleep.
Well, other than, our paranormal TV that we watch and UFO stuff, we watch some shows like The Witcher. We started The Witcher and we were watching that.
Did you finish it, Stacey?
We have not finished it. We started Titans on, what is that, on HBO Max?
Didn't finish it, did we?
Haven't finished it yet.
Started that when there was a DC app.
Doom Patrol, we're way behind on that.
Yeah, haven't finished that either.
We never finished Supernatural. We still got a couple seasons of Supernatural.
We wrote.
But at least we know we're not getting more behind on that.
Yeah, that's the good thing. That's the good thing. You know what? We haven't finished Longmire.
Nope.
That was one of our favorites.
Right.
We're behind on Father Brown, but we're trying to watch that one again.
Yes.
Father Brown's fantastic. If you don't know that one, that might be one you don't know.
That's good dinner TV. Like, we watch that when we're eating.
We have dinner TV. We have dinner TV shows, and we love Scandies. And just look it up, kids. But that's a great one for us.
We're behind on The Digging Show.
The Digging Show is one of our favorites, but again, that can be both. That one's dinner TV, but it's also regular TV, and Grand Tour is another one that we're behind on.
Love Grand Tour.
And it's treacherous that we're behind on that because that's like the closest thing to Monty Python that's left.
Well, now that football season's about over, we'll have some more weekend time that we can watch some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we have, wrestling.
Right.
And I watch a lot of wrestling.
You do.
But I don't watch all the wrestling. I used to watch all the wrestling, but I watch a lot. And the majority of our time is spent watching YouTube. Just because we enjoy watching stuff created by people that care. And, so we watch a lot of daily stuff on YouTube. I think, right now, just to tell you, one is Mystery History. If you've not subscribed to that channel, go subscribe to that dude's channel. Mystery History is fantastic. There's a couple of them. They're all his. Just do it. You'll see. There's one that's like probably got a video or 10 from yesterday. And every day you'll have videos. Every day you'll have videos. And it's great. Really into what I'm into. And we agree. You'll never look at polygonal masonry the same. I can promise you. That'll become part of your vocabulary. You'll be walking through the ruins of some, site somewhere that you go to and go, polygonal masonry. That comes from a time before a time. No way they could have done that.
Run your fingers along the seams going, look how tightly it fits together.
Yeah, and if you ever wonder what that is, that's when you see a stone wall and the pieces are all like misfitted. And I mean, they all fit perfectly together, but they're all like different sizes, shapes. Yeah. It's very strange, isn't it?
It is.
It's like somebody had a, regular rock wall, like a big stone, and then just carved in these pieces to make it look like they were different sizes. Wouldn't that be funny if they figured that out someday?
So it's not really individual rocks. It's just someone's like, let's make it look like we stacked a bunch of rocks. It'll kill people.
Yeah. 2,000 years from now, they won't be able to figure this out.
It's just a big cliff, and they're just using chisels to. Oh my God, that's fun.
So yeah, that's some of the stuff we're watching. Oh, Vikings.
Oh yes, we haven't finished that.
Haven't finished Vikings. God bless America.
We usually watch Deadliest Catch.
Or we watch old school Sherlock with the best Sherlock Holmes ever, because I pay for a subscription to BritBox, $4.99 a month, just so I can watch the old episodes of the best Sherlock Holmes ever.
Jeremy Brett.
Yes.
Best Sherlock.
Jeremy Brett is the absolute. He is Sherlock Holmes. It's Sherlock Holmes impersonated by Jeremy Brett. I mean, it's just.
I even like the Watson on that show.
Yeah, there's two Watsons. You've never noticed.
I've never noticed. I think most of the ones I see are with the one Watson I know.
I tried to do that because you said you liked him, and I felt pressure. I didn't want to have.
Is the other Watson good?
Yeah.
Is he as good?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
The other Watson's really good. I wish they had the first Watson when he meets his wife, because the second Watson is kind of older, and it makes it a little creepy.
I see.
Other than that, yeah, it's pretty cool. in the Sign of Four.
Right.
When anyway, so good stuff. And I was just talking about that to somebody a while ago. They were trying to quit drinking. One of my old friends got a hold of me out of nowhere. And he's like, yeah, I quit alcohol again. And he's like, I always end up going back to it. It's because you're creative, dude. I used to make music with him. And I was like, your creative mind, it's just, you grow stagnant and you go nuts because you need something to fill it. So you're doing, and I found myself reciting A Scandal in Bohemia. And he had no idea what I was doing. But I was just like, my mind craves, you know what the part I'm talking about?
Yes, where he's doing the cocaine.
Yeah, he's explaining.
He's like injecting it.
Yeah, well, that's
explaining why.
Are you talking about that 7% solution?
Yes, and it's explaining why he needs it.
What people don't understand is a 7% solution of cocaine is nothing more than a mere stimulant. It's not that much. I mean, not that I'm.
Not that you're an expert.
I'm not an expert on such things. God, I wish I was, but yeah. That's the bad thing. That's why I can never live in one of those countries where you can just go around and chew on a leaf, because I'd have really red lips. I'll tell you that much. They're like, hey, these leaves are a stimulant. Is it really? It's pretty cool stuff there. I actually know a guy from India that he chews on that crap all the time.
Oh, interesting.
It's pretty awesome. He's always got red teeth and red lips. I can't fault the guy, though. Don't ever say anything either.
No.
Just like, I really want some of the leaves.
Can I try some of that,
please? Like, is it legal for me if I get it from you? I don't know. Is it legal anyway?
I have no idea.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yes. I can't think of the name of them.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Somebody will know.
Yeah.
Somebody will I'm sure right now somebody's texting me and letting me know what they are. But I said I watch a lot of wrestling. So speaking of wrestling, I also have a wrestling podcast with the wonderful, mysterious, beautiful Raja. And we have some really cool stuff like logos. And we have a new shirt that we're selling for the Mark Order. That's our fans. And you can join the Mark Order with the t-shirt that's got Purple Monkey, the wrestling monkey. That's our mascot. And so you got everything covered there. When you got a mascot, that means you really got it. You made it. Logo and a mascot that's a monkey, it's really there. Fun show. We've only got one episode out so far. Second episode drops later this week. It's a weekly show. It's a lot of fun. If you like wrestling, that's killer. You'll love it. If you like me, you'll love it even more. If you don't like neither, then you probably shouldn't listen to it at all, because there's a lot of both. And it's just whatever may be, whatever we want to talk about that week. It could be like modern wrestling, old wrestling. That's why we call it Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast. Yes, the Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast. You can look it up like that. It's on iTunes, and it's quickly hitting other places as well. But BT Wrestling Pod is the way to find it on all socials. So it's all the same thing, no matter if you go to the Tweetverse or you go to Facebook or YouTube or wherever. It's BT Wrestling Pod. So good way to find it. But yeah, Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast. Check it out. Give us a subscribe. Like it. If you don't like wrestling, subscribe to it and then mute it or whatever. I don't care. I just want to subscribe. The sub. Thank you. Thank you, scribe. So a subscribe would be like a not so good of a scribe. It's like, where's the scribe at? He's off today, sir. Ah, damn it. Can I get a subscribe? Yeah, you can. So before I get into anything gloomy or after those predictions last week, I felt kind of bad.
Right.
So I wanted more of a positive start to the show.
Okay.
So I got a good feel-good story.
Oh, okay.
I thought you'd like it.
Okay, I like feel-good stories.
Comes from the mysterious mountains of British Columbia.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. They're very mysterious.
So feel-good and mysterious.
Yes. Feel-good and mysterious.
Okay.
There was a 2-year-old in Rouleau, Saskatchewan, who in late 1994 was found frozen on her doorstep. After 5 hours...
Wait, this is a feel-good story? Okay.
After 5 hours in below zero weather, but she miraculously lived.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm just telling you about how badass Canadians are.
Wow. Yeah, seriously.
Because it's a country of rugged snow-covered mountains and frigid weather and boots. So there was also a story of John Gow, who in 1969 survived a plane crash in 5 days in the mountains of British Columbia. I mean, like eating his own leg or something. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
And now there's another. There is Robert Waldner, a 17-year-old chess-loving teenager who built an elaborate snow cave shelter in British Columbia last weekend after getting stranded on a mountain during a family outing. It is a feat of survival without the drama of a plane crash or a frozen toddler, but with a happy ending, and has nevertheless captured Canadian imaginations during these pandemic times. The latest tale of Canadian resilience took place this past Saturday when Robert, a 6'4" high school athlete with a passion for biology, was separated from his father and brother while snowmobiling on a trail in Mica Mountain in central British Columbia. With an elevation of roughly 7,200 feet, the mountain is known for its caribou population, its grizzly bears that are hibernating right now, and temperatures that can fall as low as minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
According to Val Severin, a funeral director who also works as a volunteer rescue manager at
No, I'm sorry. He's trying to rescue him, but
just in case. Jesus Christ. It's my feel-good story, Stacey.
I wasn't expecting.
This is terrible.
I'm so sorry.
This is horrible.
I'll cut out.
No, you won't. No, they hear
coughing. I'll cut out my coughing.
No, they hear my bad stuff.
It's just like
you always leave my bad stuff. You're like, it's flavor.
I'm a funeral director, so I'm gonna go on the rescue mission, just in case it turns off badly, and I
thought it was funny they thought they needed to put that. According to Val Severin, a funeral director who also works as a volunteer rescue manager at South Caribou caribou gone. Search and rescue. The group that rescued the teenager. Robert was on a trail with his family when his brother's snowmobile suddenly stalled and his father went to help him. The teenager sped ahead, he recalled, and by the time he realized he was alone, he was in a remote and unfamiliar area. Robert said he tried to backtrack, but the slope was steep, so he rode his snowmobile down the trail to a meadow, where he gravitated toward a line of trees in search of shelter. It was there, he said, that he came up with the idea of building a snow cave, which he constructed using a snow shovel to dig a hole in the ground about 7 feet deep, more than 3 feet wide, and about 7 feet in length. He used his hands to build a door with a hole underneath for ventilation, and also shelves for his belongings. He said the moisture from his breath helped create a protective sheet of ice within the cave, keeping him warm. As the hours passed, he had said he would hunker down and he steeled himself for a night inside the cave. Robert said he was also left the snowmobile in a visible area where rescuers or a helicopter could see it. The idea for the cave, he said, came from improvising in the heat of the moment, and he had honed his cave-making skills while playing in the snow by his home, which is near 100 Mile House, a sleepy former mill town in British Columbia that was once a fur trading station. That's what they call whorehouses in Canada. His instinct to build a shelter was all the more urgent since he had only half a ham sandwich, and he worried his phone, which didn't have signal, imagine that, would run out of power. He said he was shivering and he couldn't sleep, but he was confident that his structure would allow him to survive. He also thought he'd be rescued, but he was more bored than scared, he said, because he's a badass. His mother, Denise Waldner, an accountant originally from Zurich, said that she had been overcome by anxiety, fearful that he had been in a snowmobile wreck. Next time he will have a tarp, a fire starter, and a lot more food, she said in an interview. I mean, instead of saying he won't go back out there. At 4 p.m., after the teenager's family realized he was missing, they spent 2 hours searching for him, until it was dark, before calling the search and rescue team, who sped to the snowmobiling trail. Robert said he was relieved when the rescuers found him at 10:43 p.m. I was quite joyful, he said, adding that being a hockey player had helped him stay focused and calm. On social media, Canadians have praised the teenager's studious pragmatism, with some suggesting he joined the Scouts or a search and rescue team. Robert said he hoped to be an emergency room nurse or a paramedic. Miss Severin said the cave was not only visually impressive, but had been a canny shelter from the cold and the elements. She was not surprised it was already becoming part of Canadian survival lore.
Well, good. I'm glad that he was found.
Yeah.
That is very smart. That's what they say you're supposed to do. When you don't have a tauntaun handy.
Yeah, I mean, the tauntauns stink. But, I mean, that's pretty crazy. It's also crazy that you could actually dig 7 feet.
Well, I guess he had to because he's pretty tall.
In the snow,
Yeah, that's a lot of snow.
And he built shelves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
I thought the shelves was so teenager of him.
He clearly had a very calm head because he's like, I think I need the shelves to put my stuff on.
He made like a wall poster made out of snow of some model, little boobies.
I could see when the search and rescue found him, the funeral director guy was like, daggone it, stuck his cards back in his pocket.
You're horrible. Anyway. I thought it was a good feel-good story.
Yes, it is. A very good feel-good story.
In the midst of so many non-feel-good stories.
Yes.
That we're getting ready to get into right now. So, we're not really getting into any non-feel-good stories. That wouldn't be fair. Okay, so I've taken it on myself to talk about this because there has been a rash of mysterious booms lately. Mm-hmm. And, we joked about it a few weeks ago that I send you all these stories all the time. And to be fair, there is always seemingly a mysterious boom story out there.
There is.
And very rarely are they ever figured out. Now, I mean, there are some they do figure out, or supposedly. There was some in New Jersey, for instance, last month. And, everybody was wondering what it was. And then some farmer said he was setting off freaking a cannon. I don't know. Literally. Look it up. New Jersey farmer cannon. Right. Okay, you'll find it. They couldn't figure it out, and then this farmer's like, "Oh yeah, I've been setting off my cannon," and nobody even questioned that, know.
Right. Oh, it was just the farmer with his cannon.
I like the fact with the rednecks and the Tannerite. It's always just like, it's probably them damn Jones boys and the Tannerite. It's like, who just freaking explodes tannerite for... Anyway, so most of the time they can't figure this out, and it's one of those enigmas out there wrapped in a mystery that I really bothers the crap out of me. Mm-hmm. That and the machinery sound from the sky, mm-hmm. they both bother me tremendously, and I think they're related. I don't know, but it feels like they're related. Mm-hmm. They're both auditory things, you know, mm-hmm. so very mm-hmm. crazy. But I just want to give an example of some of the stuff that's going on, because it's massive, man. I mean, there is a lot going on with these mysterious booms of late. Mm-hmm. Why? What's going on? You know, what is it? Winston-Salem, for instance, which is right down the street, so to speak. Mm-hmm. 4 loud booms were heard Saturday and Sunday. On January 3rd, WXII, NBC 12, said many reports of loud booms across much of the Triad, prompting 911 calls to Forsyth, Yadkin, and Davie counties, as well as their newsroom. On their Facebook page, a viewer commented, "Do y'all know the noise and vibrations in Yadkin County? Several of my family members felt it from Louisville to Hamptonville. They still have no idea." Okay, it flooded their newsrooms. Mm-hmm. And it flooded the 911 calls and stuff. They still have no idea. On December 29th, Mesa, Arizona, this one made some of the national wires. One neighborhood has dealt with next level booms, according to ABC 15 in Mesa. Resident Amy Reed says some of them sound farther away, some sound closer, but as soon as it's dark and sometime in the evening hours, we're always hearing them. Surveillance video from Reed's home shows one of the blasts, she says, shook her home on 12/17. Then 12/22, her cameras once again captured a similar scene, but this time a bright white flash can be seen, followed by the large bang. Now, still yet, you would think there'd be some kind of explanation or explosion or something that's tangible. There's not, mm-hmm. folks. There's just not. And we have no idea what caused this. I mean, KVOA, Tucson, Arizona, December 29th, whether it be from earthquake, UFO, or something else entirely, Tucsonans, I swear to God, that's how it is. That's funny. Are working on trying to figure out what shook Old Pueblo Tuesday morning. Loud booms followed by ground shakes were observed by various residents across Tucson around 11 a.m. Tuesday. Reports of the booms came from various parts of Old Pueblo, including Marana and Catalina foothills and the southwest side of town. While many Tucsonans speculated that the cause may have been from an earthquake, News 4 Tucson chief meteorologist Matt Brode and experts from the University of Arizona said there was not seismic activity observed near Tucson during that time frame. Remember that, because that'll be important later in this mm-hmm. little thing of mine. Okay. I checked the Tucson seismic station, and there was not an earthquake at all, or even a little before 11 a.m. today, said Susan Beck, global seismology and tectonics professor at University of Arizona. It is likely something else, a sonic boom of some sort. You know, they have the normal stuff they say because they're bored. Mm-hmm. Brode elaborated by sharing that the closest earthquake observed was in Mammoth Lakes, California, more than 700 miles away from Tucson. There was nothing heard in between there, so yeah, it wasn't that, unless there's a pipe underneath that comes right up there. As the earthquake was recorded to have the magnitude of just 1.61, Brode said that it would be very unlikely that it would be felt in Old Pueblo. While previous sonic booms in the area were typically attributed to the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, DM officials said they currently do not have any aircraft capable of causing sonic booms at this time. We're aware of the reported loud boom in Tucson this morning, the base said via Twitter, but we did not have any aircraft capable of breaking the sound barrier flying at that time. News 4 Tucson's working on determining the cause of the booms. They didn't. Mm-hmm. A little spoiler alert. Okay. Then we move over to southeastern Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. December 27th of 2020. Frostquakes may be the cause for mysterious booms, they said.
Oh, they say that a lot, don't they? Yeah. Frostquakes.
Basically the same thing. It sounded like something blew up. It was pretty wild. Whole house shook. Windows shook. I mean, I felt like something blew up out here. It was crazy.
That's the weird part, because it's not seismic activity, but things are shaking. People are feeling it shake.
Again, on this one, they checked it. Mm-hmm. No seismic activity. Okay, so even a frostquake, I mean, you would think would leave something, but
right.
No. And some of these happen, I don't know, Arizona, no frostquakes in Arizona.
Right.
It was funny because in December, Forbes magazine posted that they'd done this big thing on seismologists investigating unexplained skyquakes. Mm-hmm. Finally, right? So said skyquakes and enigmatic sounds described like an explosive boom rumbling in the distance, reported all around the world. In India, they're called Barcelguns. In Japan, they're called Umanari. In the Netherlands and Belgium, they're called Mistpofers. I don't know. In Italy, the Lagoni, they're supposed to be associated with lakes. In the Philippines, they're called Rotumbos. They're also reported in Iran, Australia, Ireland, Scotland, Germany. and many sites along the United States eastern coast, where they're often seen to be coming from way offshore. Now they're talking more about the Seneca guns, which is Northeast and North Carolina and all this stuff. So the thing was, they did this deal of collecting data from 2 years, from 2013 to 2015, and tried to match it up with all the recorded times people said that they heard the sounds there.
Right.
And they didn't really get anything, concrete from that. So it's the thing was, two sensors recorded some unusual signals varying in length from about 1 second to nearly 10 seconds near Cape Fear in Carolina Beach, North Carolina. Though the skyquakes can cause ground shaking, the scientists didn't find any earthquake records that coincided with the events, effectively ruling out ground shaking as the cause of these booms. Generally speaking, we believe this is an atmospheric phenomenon. We don't think it's coming from seismic activity. We're assuming it's propagating through the atmosphere rather than the ground, Bird concludes. Presumably, these are not all the same thing producing these booming sounds. The atmospheric explanations, they give a couple there of what it could be, sound barrier stuff, the normal stuff. And the thing was, they weren't able, although they thought they could explain a few of them, they couldn't explain all of them, kind of like, that just leaves that there, right? Mm-hmm. You can explain most of them, but not all of them.
Right, especially when they're happening in all different kinds of temperature.
Yeah.
And climate and around the world.
And so basically that's a big thing of scientists baffled.
Yes, very baffled.
Then a few years ago, there was a report, and it was the last comprehensive one I had found on there, where it was talking about mysterious noise from the skies continuing to baffle people all over the world, as well as giving those who hear it sleepless nights, sounding like a trumpet or collective from a brass section of an orchestra. A selection of videos shot from Canada to the Ukraine via the U.S., Germany, and Belarus show strange going-ons above us. And then the eerie sounds have been continuously heard at different times and locations for almost a decade at the time. Then it's talking about some YouTube videos where, some really strange and the groaning mechanical sounds that I captured as well. That's on our YouTube up in Maine, because it happened up there. It was one of the greatest nights of my life, actually, when we captured that. But again, it's happening all over the world. You can look this up, and there's some sites that, put a collection of these up. And on a monthly basis, you could probably find 5-6 mysterious booms that have several stories from local news stations. You can find more rare is the groaning engine sound or the mechanical sound that sounds just like pretty much like two realities scratching together.
Right.
And there's been a bunch of theories, because you go back pre-2010, you'll have stuff like the Seneca guns, and you'll have reports of this or that, but nothing really widespread. It's really when we started doing the show, it was really hitting big, and both phenomena. It quieted down for just a little bit, it seemed, and then in the past 6 months or so, it has went crazy bonbon again. It's just been all over the place. So my question to you, once again, what do you think it is? Do you have a theory on it? Have you heard a mysterious boom? Has your community had it happen? Has it been something you've seen and then it just falls out of your consciousness because it's not continuously on the news cycle 24 hours a day? Be nice if it was. Be nice if there was more people worried about the mysterious explosions that come from nowhere, okay? Or the mysterious gigantic machinery sounds in the sky. Folks, this is real. This is real. This is not a conspiracy theory. Look it up yourselves. This is real. And real people are hearing it and feeling it. And yeah, it happens a couple weeks or it happens once and then it's done. Okay? That doesn't make it okay. It's very strange. I have theories. I think about stuff underneath our feet that may be causing it. I think about tunnels, which I think could be everywhere. I think about crafts, large UFOs that are cloaked that would come in our atmosphere, could possibly make that kind of sound, because they're still mass even if they're cloaked. And who knows, right? But there's something different about the world, something different about Earth that wasn't like this before. You don't have these historical accounts, just in droves where people are writing about the mysterious boom that shook the village. There are some, just like there's some about an alien that appeared. I mean, there are stories out there if you dig. But this is just strange, man, don't you think?
I think so, yeah. It's strange that it persists and you do still find it.
Yeah, it bothers me to death. So there you go. You tell us what you think. What do you think it is? Have you heard it? Do you have some firsthand eyewitness accounts that you would like to come on and talk about? That would be fantastic. Get a hold of us and let us know. But, for me, it just makes me want to hear some more weird stuff. So I think with that, it's time for Stacey Edwards in Paranormal News.
Coming to you direct from the Sideshow Intercontinental Center for Strange Events and Odd Irregularities, she's more stealthy than a Cold War era spy. If it's from beyond the grave or above the sky, there's only one girl who looks under every rock to see. She's got your mysterious goodies and spells Stacey with an E. It's now time for Stacey Edwards and Paranormal News.
All right, so let's get to the news. Okay, so the first stories I want to talk about are just a couple of recent UFO sightings. And we don't get to do these very much because, we don't show video or anything, but I thought these were pretty impressive and I wanted to mention them because I know that you've seen them. Now, the first one was the one over Hawaii, and it was this bright blue UFO light in the sky. A lot of people saw it, and it supposedly crashed into the ocean.
Yeah, man, this was intense.
And there are quite a few videos where people have caught the anomaly on video and uploaded it. And there was a flurry of calls to 911 when people started seeing it because people thought maybe a plane had crashed or something bad had happened. But according to the FAA, where there were enough calls that they started to investigate it, they said that there weren't any aircraft incidents, there were no accidents reported in the area, and there weren't any planes missing. And so they have absolutely no idea what this possibly could have been.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We actually could have done this one last week, and we didn't do it. And then there was still more reports pop up, and it's not really went away as easy as some of them do. Just if you haven't seen it, you need to go and look for it. It's easy to find. They're pretty intense, man. Like I said, there's video and there's some pictures and stuff, and it's very credible. I mean, there's nothing else that this thing could really be.
Well, it is, and it's not even weird that it crashed into the ocean because of the whole underwater alien base theories and things like that. So, I don't know, it's very strange, definitely something you need to go check out. And then there was this other video posted that I thought was really interesting, and this is from the Outer Banks. Now, there are a lot of UFO sightings in that area of the Carolinas, and with this particular video, it was a photographer named Wes Snyder, and he does a lot of coastal video time-lapse stuff. So he's out there all the time, and on one of his videos that he did recently, he was doing a time-lapse of a lighthouse, and during the video, you can see something shoot through behind the lighthouse and sort of down over the horizon. Now, when you watch the video, it's a little misleading because it's a time-lapse video, so it looks like the object goes very quickly. But in fact, when you add it up, the unidentified object was on the screen for like 3 minutes.
Wow.
But it was not a meteor. It didn't have any kind of tail. It wasn't something that was burning up or flashing. And he claims that he does this photography a lot. He's seen all sorts of things come through his videos: planes, meteors, shooting stars, satellites. And he didn't recognize this. And so he wasn't saying, hey, I think I caught a UFO. He just posted it and was like, what do you all think I've caught here, because I can't figure it out. So it is really strange. It's an odd shape, and the fact that the way it moved and stuff, I don't know, it was just very, very strange. One you definitely should look at as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good one. And again, like she said, it's not a UFO guy, right?
Right.
That's always the best. This guy's job is to do this stuff, so he sees all kinds of stuff that he has to rule out. Just interesting stuff. And I mean, point a camera at the sky long enough, you're gonna see something.
Exactly. All right, so let's go on to this next story. This one is sort of a mystery about some black helicopters that have been circling Los Angeles.
And not to be confused with the black copters that don't make sound that people hear, with aliens. This is just weird. We thought we'd pop this one in because there's no explanation why they're, out doing what they're doing.
Right. So some plane spotters in the greater Los Angeles area caught glimpses of these 3 mysterious helicopters. Now, they've identified the type of helicopters they are. They're called Bell 407 helicopters, and they describe how they're painted and the numbers on them, and the fact that they have these really large SATCOM antennas on their tails, and they claim that it's similar, almost identical to stuff that the Army uses for some of their scout helicopters and things like that.
Yeah, even some we'd sold to Iraq that they never took delivery on. So
Right. And they used some online flight tracking software and saw that the helicopters were making these loops around Los Angeles, but that it seems that they came all the way across the country and started their trip like last week on the East Coast somewhere.
That's the weird part, the weirdest part.
And as they flew across, they stopped at different areas, but they essentially stayed in Los Angeles and have been doing these weird flight patterns all around. Now, there was one update to this story that claims that as they were tracking these helicopters and they were flying over Los Angeles, occasionally they would land on tops of different buildings in Los Angeles. And, not for very long, they would just stop, land, and then take off again. They assume that it's possibly some kind of military drill, military training. They liken it to some realistic urban training exercises that is done by some of the more elite special operations Army groups and things like that. One that they particularly pointed out, and they're not saying this is who it is, but there are a lot of similarities to the FBI's hostage rescue team. Apparently they do some similar drills. They have similar equipment. The helicopters are vaguely the same. Now, I'm not saying that's what those are, but it did put these people in mind of that kind of drill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's been several things like this recently. Of course, we had the inauguration, all this stuff come up. So there's a lot of things you could look at, and especially with some of the unrest in the on the left coast right now. It's been really crazy in the last couple of, actually in the last 24 hours of the recording of this, been all kinds of, protests and this and that for whatever reason. So, I mean, this could be things they use for identifying such things, especially with the SATCOM on there. I know we're getting more and more locked down by the second with, freedom and everything else, but God only knows, right? So
that's true. And another reason why I wanted to bring it up is because it's not just Los Angeles that's having strange things happen. We've noticed locally ourselves, there's been a lot of strange movement with airplanes. And, we had the big C-130s that were flying supplies around, and those things, I mean, if you've never seen one of those,
never heard one of them
when they're flying over you. They're huge,
amazing. Those are my favorites.
Yes, and then there's been,
There's been some like satellite planes, some ones they use just for tracking purposes, just for that type of thing. The whole plane itself is made for that, and it's been coming up with the Florida Loop and going across our area back down. And of course, people are like, "Well, that's just normal training things," Yeah, okay, but it's still unnerving at certain times, right? I think that's the whole case is people are looking around, they're like, wow, there's a lot of this up in the air right now. So
yeah,
I get it. And at the same time, it's when you see black ones, though, that don't have any identifying marks unless you look really closely,
right?
That's always a red flag, man. That's always a little bit weird. It's just a little bit weird. Like, why? Why don't you just say U.S. Army on the side or something like that?
Right. Or we're going to be doing some training, or we're going to be doing some tests or something.
And they normally do announce that stuff, They normally do announce it, and everybody still freaks out. Hey, we're going to be doing training in Dallas. Everybody's like, oh God, But when they don't announce anything and then they fly all across the United States, just keep your eyes in the sky, folks. If you see some black copters up there, take a picture, wave at them, flip them off, whatever, send it to us on our soon, in our soon to have PO box that I'm gonna totally pay for, so you can send us the files
and the pictures and stuff.
Send
all secretive.
Us the files.
Yeah. All right, so let's move away from conspiracy and move on to something a little more paranormal. So this next story is about a study that was done by a psychologist named Peter Moseley of Northumbria University in the UK, and his partner Adam Powell of Durham University in the UK.
Durham University.
Sorry.
Durham
University would be totally different.
Like, what the hell?
And their study was to figure out why some people can, quote, hear the voices of the dead, and some people can't. So that was a really interesting new research study. They wanted to know if there were any traits or any kind of predisposition that allowed people to be more likely to claim that they hear spirits, above other people. And their reasoning behind doing this particular study is they were curious. They want to better understand why some people that suffer from schizophrenia and hear voices are upset by it, and why there are people that can hear voices and it's comforting and spiritual. Like, they're trying to sort of understand how this works. Now, when they did this study, they recruited and surveyed 65 clairaudient mediums from the UK's Spiritualists National Union. And they also chose 143 members of the general population that were recruited through social media that do not claim to be able to hear spirits. And as they did the study, a few things popped out that were pretty interesting. Of course, things you would expect, compared to the general population, the spiritualists reported a much higher belief in the paranormal, and they were a lot less likely to care what other people thought about them and their abilities.
You don't say.
Yeah, and they determined that a predisposition to high levels of absorption in tasks, unusual auditory experiences in childhood, and a high susceptibility to auditory hallucinations all occur more strongly in people that are self-described mediums. And one of the more surprising aspects I think that they found about this was that all the mediums, the spiritualists, most of them were not spiritualists before their first experience with hearing spirits. It sort of went the other way. They could hear the spirits, they had this gift, and that caused them to seek out answers, and then that's how they became spiritualists.
Doesn't sound weird to me at all.
No, it doesn't. But, that's because we deal with this kind of thing,
right.
Like, we understand. And they say that this suggests that experiencing, the voices of the dead is not a result. It's very unlikely that it's a result of any kind of peer pressure or social context or any kind of suggestibility due to belief in the paranormal, which I thought was really interesting, because a lot of people use that as a reason that people say they can hear things. They watch all these paranormal shows and they watch all these mediums, and they feel like it's just
unless they hated psychics until it happened.
And this is true.
Unless they blocked it out most their whole life, and people had always said, "Hey man, you got some hellacious intuition," and then it all came bungling back on him one morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was really an interesting study. They did say that a lot of the spiritualists, a lot of the mediums they talked to did start hearing things when they were very young, and that they had a high level of absorption. And what that just means is that they can be totally immersed in mental activities. They can tune out the rest of the world and be very focused. And that's a trait that a lot of them have. They still don't really understand. They were trying to understand sort of how people process the auditory things they hear, and why some people are spiritual with it, and some people it really is disturbing for them and they seek out mental health. So
my theory is that the schizophrenics also are really hearing something.
Right.
I think that they are sick, and they do have issues, and that they're preyed upon by evil spirits. That, whatever's happening in the construction of their brain that allows them to use that part of the brain as a receptor. There's a lot of things that they've done with studies that show, certain things maybe that have traits for the mediums and whatnot.
Right.
I don't know, man. There's things, that are abnormal about my makeup of my brain between the left and the right. With the bridge not being traditional, it's not there. Just to get real personal, and it's made its own. So you never know, right? And there again, mine, as I said, I was very resistant of anybody psychic to even have it on a team with me whatsoever. And I had blocked out so much of my childhood. I'd blocked out my great-grandmother, who was just like my grandmother, I just called her Granny. I'd blocked out the whole time that she, was passing away. And sitting there in the room with her, because I never had thought that I went in the room.
Right.
Like in my head, I had totally stayed out in the waiting room the entire time. But when I look back on that memory now, I could see it, that I was in this darkness. And it's so stupid when I look back now that I was in this darkness just looking at my Walkman and listening to this In Excess Kick album over and over, side H, side B, side H, side B. Mm-hmm. And that's the tape that got me through it. But undoubtedly I went in the room, and which is really, really, really still messes with me. But, one day, 2009, wake up and there's a voice. Mm-hmm. So it was, this is after years of paranormal investigating and years of everybody going, wow, you go with John and everything just happens. The tape is filled with EVPs, and every time you ask for something, it happens. And, it took kind of the special off of it a little bit.
Well, yeah, but I can kind of see the point there, because what if we hadn't been into the paranormal? What if we hadn't been studying it and investigating it, and we didn't understand, all the things that went along with it, and then all of a sudden you just started hearing voices?
Yeah.
It could have all gone a totally different way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I hadn't heard voices the way I did, that was so clear telling me something I don't know, mm-hmm. it would have also went differently. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. It would have went, like, if it told me something that I could have known already.
Right.
I would have had a problem dealing with it. Mm-hmm. I would have thought I was batshit crazy. I would have never told you, but the very fact that it warned me of an issue, mm-hmm. and told me that, something I had no idea about, then it was like, whoa, yo, dude, you need to know this. Mm-hmm. And, mm-hmm. That really confirmed it for me, mm-hmm. Big time. And, it was made me susceptible to it all at once. It just started flooding back. But there's still things in the past couple of years that have come back. Some really crazy things I did as a child, which had very little explanation. Like, mm-hmm. I did some very stupid things as a kid and I wasn't a stupid kid. I wasn't one of these, pee on a light socket kind of kids, I wasn't a swallow the marble kind of kid. I just wasn't. I was very self-protective and, mm-hmm. Quiet and nice. Good. I was a good child, but a lot of things came back to me about certain time periods and some things I had done, and wow, it was crazy. Mm-hmm. And I even questioned another family member about some of it, who also has always had a bit over the shine.
Right.
And that they admitted it, and they're like, yeah, that matches up because this and that. And it's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is. And these particular psychologists, they feel like they need to do some further research to explore a variety of cultural context in the same situation, things with belief and experiences and how it also plays into the same thing. So this particular research has been published in Mental Health, Religion, and Culture. And so it's just an interesting study. I like that they took it very seriously. It's not like they were doing a study to see if people were really real mediums or fake mediums. They just took people that they knew could hear the spirits and put them against people that didn't claim to. So, all right, so let's move on to this interesting story. It's pretty weird. It's about how it's possible that there are going to be dinosaur remains on the moon.
Oh.
So this was just a bit of some scientific writing that has gone viral online and been shared around a lot of times. Now, it's not a new idea, okay, but it's not something that you hear very often. And somebody had been reading it and they posted it online, and I guess it just people took it and just ran with it. So what astrophysicists and possibly even
what they're thinking is on the impact of the meteor blew dinosaur bones up to the moon.
Right. Yes. See, you knew the gist of it already. So what astrophysicists and probably astronauts knew already is that there are most likely tiny chunks of dinosaurs sitting up on the moon and maybe possibly even Mars. And it talks about, when the asteroid came and impacted Earth, that it was traveling at such a tremendous speed that it sort of punched a hole in the vacuum in the atmosphere long enough for some of that debris to go flying out into space. And of course, as it went out, it would land on all kinds of places. And they conclude that would include fossils and bones, things of that sort. and that little bits of them are probably on other planets.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of writing that was in a book called The Ends of the World by Peter Brannon. And I just thought this was really interesting because it sort of gives you a cover of what if they do find like dinosaur bones on the moon. Now they can say, oh, it was because of this asteroid.
First thing I thought when you brought it up, because obviously that's what's happened.
Right.
They found like a fully in Moon Rex or something. It's
they're just gonna break it down in little pieces. No, we didn't find an entirely full buried dinosaur. No.
Yeah.
We found little pieces of a dinosaur.
Yeah, just little pieces. Nothing to see here. They didn't just totally live here or anything like that and have little moon helmets and I mean, I don't know. It's crazy though.
It is crazy. It's weird.
They found something or they wouldn't be freaking saying that.
Well, it's never really been brought up before. It's not something that they talk about generally.
Yeah. I knew where they were going though right off the bat. I mean,
right.
It's only one place to go. That's the same thing they've said about everything in space. That, when we got smacked, that we blew little earth matter all over the place.
Right. Well, that's one of the theories they have for how moons are formed.
Yeah.
That big chunks come off and it makes a whole moon.
Well, I mean, we do have an asteroid belt. Something happened.
Is the asteroid belt used to be a planet, right? And it exploded, maybe?
That's the thought, yeah.
Yeah, and there used to be a planet there.
The thought is that something hit us and, and it might have been part of, like, say, Earth was a bigger planet maybe, or
possibly,
or Mars even, or something like that.
For some reason, I always thought it was like an entire planet that just doesn't exist anymore.
Suck the atmosphere off Mars, I think. I mean, no, I'm serious.
Yeah, I mean, anything like that.
Something happened to the atmosphere on Mars. Because it had an atmosphere.
It did.
And it had protection. And, something pulled that rubber off. I don't know. So
we may never know. Somebody knows.
Oh,
They're just not saying.
Oh, well, I'm sure there's a few somebodies that know. The Galactic Council knows.
Yes, the Galactic Federation.
Yeah, the Galactic Federation. Sorry, Galactic Council.
Yeah.
Galactic Council has been disbanded. It is the Galactic Federation of Planets.
All right. Let's move on to some cryptids.
Cryptids.
Yay, this is about the Loch Ness Monster. Now,
the Loch Ness Monster?
The Loch Ness Monster, yes. So there's a professor at Virginia Tech named Henry Bauer, and he did some research, and he has decided that the Loch Ness Monster, he's cracked the case. He's cracked it. It's not a dinosaur. It is an ancient sea turtle that has been trapped in the loch as the waters receded at the end of the last ice age.
We need to defund his ass. If that's the best he's come up with, an ancient sea turtle.
Well, he said that he's a self-confessed Nessie fanatic. He's 89. He's a retired professor of chemistry and science studies at Virginia Tech. And he said that...
He is defunded then. He retired. I mean, he's 89. How long has he been retired? Since the 40s?
It does not say. He claims that, the most popular idea is that the Loch Ness Monster is, an extinct dinosaur, a plesiosaur. But he said it's too hard to square away all the sightings with that being the case. But on the other hand, everything that's described for the Loch Ness Monster squares along with many living and extinct species of turtles. They're air-breathing, but they spend very long periods in deep water. They live a very long time. They venture onto land sometimes. They're very fast in the water. They have the ability to be active in very cold water, and they have relatively long necks.
Yeah.
So, his work, it's been published in a respected scientific journal. It's just as good a theory, I suppose, as anybody else's.
I don't know. I have to say the turtle thing is one of the sillier ones I've heard.
It is, but...
When Nessie crested, wouldn't there be like sea pigeons on its back and stuff? Like,
I mean, I don't know. Not necessarily, not if it was underwater.
It'd be cool if it was a turtle though, and Vikings had spray painted runes and shit on its back. I mean, I don't know. It's a scary thought to be a giant turtle.
It is.
That would be like, the only thing worse would it being a giant duck.
Oh, no, that would be horrible.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Those things are...
Oh, just wretched. Just horrible. Or a giant goose.
Goose,
yeah. I knew you were thinking.
Goose will run at you.
I mean, that would be, I can't imagine a dinosaur-sized goose.
It's amazing how terrified I am of something that doesn't have teeth or anything.
Oh, it'll gum the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Those things are mean, dude.
They are, and they run at you and they'll peck you. Oh, no.
No, they're horrible.
They're horrible.
Yeah, we agree on that.
All right, so let's move on. And while we're talking about cryptids, let's talk about Bigfoot for a second.
Okay.
Now, this isn't like a Bigfoot sighting or anything like that. It is about a bill that has been introduced in Oklahoma to create a Bigfoot hunting season.
What?
Yes, and this is a real bill by a real Oklahoma lawmaker. Now, Representative Justin Humphrey introduced the House bill urging the Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Commission to establish what he's calling a Bigfoot hunting season and all of the things that come along with that, setting annual season dates, creating necessary specific hunting licenses and fees that you would have to buy in order to hunt Bigfoot. And they claim that it is a real bill. It won't come up for discussion until they meet on February 1st. But if it passes, then the first Bigfoot hunting season would go into effect on November 1st of 2021.
No.
Isn't that terrible?
It's absolutely.
Why would you want to hunt Bigfoot?
It's wretched. It's horrible. I mean, they look too much like. Okay, listen. If that thing is anything close to being real, then it's very close to us. And if you really want Bigfoot to come out, then this is the way to do it, let me tell you. Mm-hmm. You get a bunch of jackasses in that forest trying to kill Bigfoot.
Right.
I'm afraid you're going to get John Rambo of Bigfoot. It's going to be just like, I was trying to leave everybody alone. I was out here by myself. And nobody remembers what I've been through. Man, and then the Colonel Troutman of Bigfoot's going to have to come and show up in his long gear and stuff.
It's going to be war, isn't it?
Be like, you guys just don't understand. Growl, growl, growl. You don't know what because he's been like governmentized.
Right,
and,
right.
He's the one that directs the UFOs in and goes and visits them and stuff. You hear about that stuff all the time.
Right.
He actually co-authored the Missy 411 books. He's just like, it's all a big conspiracy, but he's the one. I think he was Q actually too.
Oh, possibly.
He gets bored.
Mm-hmm.
He gets bored, but he's going to show up and just holler, on his bullhorn and stuff, on his Bigfoot bullhorn, and just be like, John, growl, 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 growl. You got to listen to Sitch, John, growl, growl. These guys are going to kill you, John, growl, growl, growl. And John's not going to listen. He's going to just completely eviscerate everybody. Mm-hmm. And then we're talking next level stuff here. You don't screw with the foot, man. Don't screw with the foot.
Oh, I feel like they're starting something here.
They are something they can't finish.
Well, they have an annual Bigfoot.
There's a difference in There's a difference in the Bigfoot Derby.
Well, no,
where you make little soap cars.
What I'm saying is, I feel like they're just doing this as a tourist stunt, maybe to earn some more money, for government or whatever.
Except for Jim Bob Henry Joe,
right?
That's sitting there right now with his 9,000 flags hanging over his freaking shortwave radio with his 30-06 hanging off his King Kong, and ready to go. And he's calling up his buddy.
That guy doesn't pay for a license to hunt Bigfoot. He just does it. No,
this guy will and post it on FaceSpace and just be like, I got my Bigfoot hot license, yeah. When you have my home, come on with me. Come see him on, man. And everybody's going to go, and then it's going to be Colonel Troutman of Bigfoot, growl, growl, growl. I'm just telling you. It's a bad day in the neighborhood.
Well, hopefully...
Oklahoma, I'm ashamed.
Now, it's not the whole state of Oklahoma. It's just this one representative who's brought it up. And I'll just have to update after February 1st to see if the bill passes or if they, dismiss it or whatever.
I hope Jim Ross is out there. I do. Jim Ross is out there with, Bob Stoops and freaking Barry Switzer and, the ghost of Dr. Dusty Williams. Everybody's out there just hunting Bigfoot. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so let's move on to another story.
God, that's a terrible story.
I know, wasn't it awful? But I did have to mention it because people need to know what's happening.
Oh, that's what we do.
Let's hope it's not a trend. All right, so this is a story from Washington State. And apparently in Washington State, they have officially begun human composting.
What?
This is now a new option for you after you pass.
Oh, no.
You can choose to be composted instead of cremated or buried. It's supposed to be the new green alternative.
Oh, no.
There are 2 facilities in the Evergreen State that have already received their first bodies for human composting. It's also known as natural organic reductions, because that sounds a lot better than composting.
Right.
So what happens is, the family sends the body over to this facility. There's one they were talking about. It's called Herland Forest. And they take the body and they place it in what they call an NOR cradle along with 200 gallons of wood chips. And then they dispense some bacteria, some protozoa, some fungi into the mixture to speed up the process. They add oxygen. They have to keep it between 145 and 155 degrees. And they use solar panels to provide some extra heat as needed. And it's not, you have to be patient. It's not a quick process. It does take some time. But the final result is 4 55-gallon drums of usable compost. That's a lot of compost from one person. So the family of the deceased can decide to either keep all of it or they can donate a portion of it to Herland Forest to help grow new trees in the cemetery. And it turns out that this is the only way, the only legal way now that you can be laid to rest on your own property if you are in the form of mulch and are put in the garden.
Well, if you tell them, yeah.
Right. And so this is not the only, like I said, there's 2 facilities. There's more facilities that are opening that have also begun the process of getting bodies, and people that they take prepayments for people that want to make advance payments for their future death care. So, I guess it's not any worse than, I suppose, being cremated and taking their ashes home.
Well,
this at least helps the environment.
Washington State, right?
Yes.
I can't wait till they get the weed. Can you imagine? This is Grandma Jackson weed.
Oh, no. I didn't even think about and you put it in your garden and you eat the vegetables that were fertilized by your family members.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
We always knew Grandpa loved us very much. Look how big his maters are. Grandpa always did have big maters. He couldn't wear shorts to the beach. It was bad when he bent over, scared the shit out of us kids. But he's sure letting us know now, isn't he, Grandma?
Wow.
I can't believe you guys did that. I can't believe my poor boobies out there in the ground. Shut up, Grandma. You'll be out there next. And we're growing the weed now because we got to get in the money. It's a money train. We're going to grow all this weed and dry it out and sell it, and Grandma Jackson weed.
Yes.
Can't believe you put my name on it.
It's going to be one of those kind of things there.
So let's do this. There's also the thing where you can grow into a tree after you die. Have you seen those where they can put you down?
Yeah, I've heard about it, jackass.
So let's one of us be a tree and the other one can be the mulch to fertilize the tree.
That sounds kind of sexual.
And we could be planted beside a really old house, and then we could just make the house haunted. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Well, if you do it like that, then I would be a tree with you on a hill.
Oh, 2 trees next to each other. Oh, we can make our kids be the mulch.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that, absolutely. Crazy old bat.
So
how about we...
I think it's less expensive, too.
How about we get a coffin?
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine. We can do that.
And a big gaudy, situation that I want to be put in.
Big gaudy situation.
Yeah, they don't even have a name for what I want to be put in. They used to call them pyramids. I want people to wonder how the hell they created what they created for me.
Right.
And I still have time because I am telling you, before it's done, regardless of what I must do at the end,
right?
Before it's done, I will have an erection. They will erect the biggest building imaginable to me. And they may even call it La Erection.
And you're gonna be buried underneath?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be buried in it somewhere.
Oh, I see.
You won't even know where.
They'll just be doing renovations one day and boom, there you are.
Yeah. I don't know. I want something huge. Something huge.
Wow.
I would like him to build it, make it really old, polygonal masonry, you know, like get a rock and just carve out the stuff and actually just put me in a hole underneath. But I want them to make something really crazy, old looking, and then put dirt over it.
Right.
And so they find it.
I'm surprised you want me to bury you in a Viking boat underneath.
No, it's been done. No, I want something new. I want something cool. I want them to dig me up in 1,000 years and go, oh, that guy had to be a ruler.
You want it to be something new, like make a pyramid a tomb?
I mean, I want a bunch of slaves spelling out, you know, like cough. You know what I mean? Like with their little bodies and stuff.
You mean volunteers, right?
Volunteers is what I meant. Is that what I mean? That's what I said.
Not exactly.
Slovakian volunteers.
Right.
Call them that for short.
Hey, shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay.
We better.
So, because I just did the story about, you know, being buried in your own yard.
Do you know my son?
What? Okay.
Told me.
I do know your son. Yes.
Told me that he told me that I check all the boxes for a psychopath.
Do you?
That's what he.
I don't know. I don't have a checklist for that, so I don't know.
No, he did because he said, you know, he was talking about me eating the same thing every day.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I enjoy it. I've lost a lot of weight, and he goes, yeah. And I was like, what? He's like, you know, that's a sign of a psychopath. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, you don't know that? And I'm like, no, I don't know that.
Why does he know that?
Are you kidding? He loves stuff like that. And I was like, so I check a box. He's like, you like check all the boxes.
Oh, that's it. I'm looking up checklists now.
And I don't check all the boxes. There's no way.
I don't actually have any idea.
Okay, hold on. All right, so we found the test, and apparently out of the 40 points there, because you can score 1 to 3, 1 being like hardly anything at all, and 3 being, you know, whoa. It's funny because in the United States, you score a 30 or above, you're a psychopath. 25.
I think you can score 0 too.
Yeah, 25 or above in UK.
It's a little harder to be a psychopath in the United States.
Yeah, so
to really be there.
I'll write the scores down as we go. Just read me the first one there.
Glib and superficial charm. Smooth talking, verbally agile. A psychopath is rarely stuck for something to say. They're not in the least bit shy. In fact, they are not afraid to say anything.
So that'd be a 3.
That'd be a 3, yeah. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Grandiose self-worth. They have an opinion on everything. They boast and brag about the things they have done, their skills and abilities. They have enormous egos.
So we'll go 3.
Yeah, okay. I don't even finish that one. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Seek stimulation or prone to boredom. They like to be doing new and different things. Oh, yeah, just 3 on that one. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Pathological lying.
Nope.
No, that's not you. The ability to lie is stunning, even though, no, you're not a liar.
Not at all.
No.
Like in the opposite direction.
Yeah, like I'd almost put
0.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, you don't do that. Conning and manipulativeness.
Mm-mm.
They deceive, cheat, con, bilk, trick, or defraud others for personal gain.
No.
Yeah, no, you don't do that
Not
either.
at all. I hate that.
Lack of remorse or guilt. Despite their words, they experience little emotion or concern for the pain. No, that's not you at all.
Not at all.
No.
I cry my eyes out.
Yeah, so see, you're not checking all the boxes.
No.
Clearly. Shallow affect, emotional poverty, or very shallow feelings, coldness towards others. Nope, that's a 0 for you too.
No, 0 for me. We might need to check you.
Callousness and lack of empathy, a general lack of feelings towards other people.
No.
They tend to be heartless, contemptuous. No, see, you're not indifferent and stuff. Let's see. Parasitic lifestyle. They will intentionally manipulate and exploit others for financial gain. No, see, because
I know one of those.
You don't have poor motivation or little self-discipline. You're very go-getting.
Yeah, no way. No way.
Poor behavioral controls. There may be sudden expression of annoyance, irritability, aggression, and verbal abuse. There may be sudden outbursts of anger and temper, and they may act hastily.
So we'll put 3 on there.
Yeah, that sounds like you. Okay. Promiscuous sexual behavior.
3?
Yep. Early behavior problems. There's often a history of antisocial behavior before age 13, including lying, stealing, cheating, vandalism. I don't think that was you.
Not
you
at
were
all.
pretty good until you were older.
Probably 13.
Yeah, something like that. Till you got around,
Yeah.
peer pressure. All right, so lack of realistic long-term goals.
No.
While they talk about big plans, they show an inability or persistent failure to execute long-term goals.
That's not.
Not really. I mean, you do have a lot of big ideas. I don't know if you ever plan on following through with a lot of those. You're an idea guy. We talk about that all the time. So you always...
Yeah, but I've done all those things.
You have. Impulsivity.
No, I mean, let's stick on this one. It's fine. I mean, I had a high school teacher, principal say, yeah, I'll never be a pro wrestler or a singer.
Right.
You know how dumb that is?
Well, see, I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I'm talking about how you come up with ideas all the time, and they're good ideas, but I don't think you ever intend on following through with them. I think you're just coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
That was all I meant.
I'll put 1 on it.
Okay. Impulsivity. Many of their behaviors are not premeditated and seem to be unplanned. They seem unable to resist temptation and urges or to delay gratification. They may not consider the consequences, and so they appear reckless, foolhardy, and unpredictable.
No,
not really.
No, I mean, if that was the case, I'd be drunk right now.
Irresponsibility. No, you're not irresponsible because you honor your commitments and obligations, and you go to work and you pay your bills and stuff. So, failure to accept responsibility for your own actions. Nope, that's not you either. Many short-term marital relationships. No. Juvenile delinquency.
No.
This is between 13 and 18.
Not really.
Things that it does have aggressive on here, but you didn't really commit a lot of crimes, but you were kind of maybe a 1.
I got in a lot of fights.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll put 2 on there.
A 2, okay. Revocation of condition release. They may have had their probation revoked for technical reasons, such as failing to appear. No. And criminal versatility. You can do lots of diverse criminal things, but you are not a criminal. So you really didn't score that high at all, did you?
No, let's see.
So add that up.
Let's see. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18.
God, you're not even a psychopath in Europe.
Yeah, no.
So there you go. You feel better now?
I do. I'm not a psychopath.
You may be something, but you're not a psychopath.
I think narcissist maybe.
I think you probably swing towards narcissism a bit.
Yeah, the promiscuity, that was really quick there. So I might just be a fun-loving whore. You
might just be a really interesting person to be around. Let's just say that. Full of good stories and charming and,
And whoever
wrote that article is just jealous.
And you know where it's going to end up.
Anyway, let's move on, shall we?
Let's.
I can't believe you just took a psychopath test on our podcast. Okay. So because we were talking about, the way you could be buried on your own land in Washington, I wanted to put this story in here. This one's amazing. It's about a real estate listing that claims that the former owner is buried in the house's backyard. At least they were honest about it,
Dear
right?
God.
Right? So this is a home for sale in England. I think the listing may have been taken down. I'm not sure. But according to the description, the previous owner had been born in the house, lived their entire life in the house, and one of his last wishes was to be laid to rest in the garden, and so he was.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that house is haunted.
Yeah.
So the family members have decided to sell the home, and they said that it's being listed as sold, what they call with no onward chain, which means that they've already moved out. They don't need to sell it to be able to buy something else. So the home is, I suppose, is vacant, and this gentleman is in the backyard. So
I don't want to live in Grandpa John's house.
Grandpa John's there all the time.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a nice home. I didn't look at the actual listing because it had been taken down.
I wouldn't stay at Uncle Pat's house because somebody died in the damn room upstairs. So
I can't imagine being born in a house, living your whole life there, and then being buried there.
Yeah, you must really like the house.
Makes no sense to me.
I mean, you must really, really like the house.
No.
Or he's got some money there. He don't want to.
It's buried in the garden with him. He was very specific. I want you to bury me
on the left
garden.
side of the tree.
Really, 2 feet away from the fence.
Yeah, but don't mind the X. I put the X there to show where I don't want to be buried.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, since we're on the subject of the afterlife, let's talk about what Microsoft wants to do after you die.
Well, I hope it has something to do with putting my consciousness in a computer.
Something like that. It says after you die, Microsoft wants to resurrect you as a chatbot.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this isn't a thing that's really happening, but they did file a patent with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office that outlines a process to create a conversational chatbot of a specific person using their social data. So now that's making you think about all that stuff you put on Facebook now, doesn't it?
Well, not really.
It says, in an eerie twist, the patent says that the chatbot could potentially be inspired by friends or family members who are deceased. So in other words, you could potentially go to Microsoft and say, this is my deceased husband. Here's all of his conversations and letters and social media, and this is what he looked like, and make me a chatbot that looks just like him that I can have a conversation with.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Supposedly, now I don't watch the series Black Mirror, but supposedly this is very reminiscent of almost a direct plot of an episode of Black Mirror.
I almost have watched it several times.
I know. It's one of those things that I feel like we should watch, but we just, like we did talk about earlier, just no time. I'm sure we'd start it and we just wouldn't finish it, right?
Right.
So, of course, this brings up some ethical issues on whether or not you could use the likeness of somebody without their permission if they've already passed on.
They're not going to complain about it.
No, this is true. Somebody might complain, though. Who knows? Now, again, this isn't something that they're doing. And of course, they could have just filed the patent so that nobody else could do it in case they decided they ever wanted to. But it's not the first time we've heard of AI companies doing stuff like this. You know, we talked about that story, I don't know, it was a year or so ago, about the people making the things to greet you when you come in your house, and it could look like famous people or like your relatives or whatever. This stuff is just creepy.
Right, yeah.
I'm sorry.
They did that on Harry Potter.
It would be different if it was your actual consciousness.
You don't want Dumbledore coming down the hall.
No,
it's just not cool.
Creepy. Yeah, especially when you know he's already gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wasn't cool at all.
All right, so enough about death.
Thank you.
Let's move on to a story that I think this is you. I thought about you the whole time.
Psychopath story or horror story?
No, it's about a dinosaur and how they found the first well-preserved dinosaur butthole.
Oh my God. Well, that's it, folks. We finally went to shit.
And it's perfect and unique, according to the paleontologist.
It's perfect and unique?
Perfect and unique. So it's the first dinosaur butthole ever discovered.
Wow.
And how amazed
Wouldn't
they are
you love to have that named after you?
So well preserved it is.
Oh my God. Had it been tinkered with?
No. So this belonged to a dinosaur called a Psittacosaurus. It's, like a Labrador-sized dinosaur. And at the time, they had seen it. So the lead researcher, Jacob Vinther, he's a paleobiologist at the University of Bristol in the United Kingdom. He had seen this particular specimen on one occasion.
Patty.
But then when he got a closer look with some of his co-researchers, he realized that it was so well preserved that the hole was still there. Now, this particular...
Is that a problem? Does the hole usually go away? Or?
Well, I mean, it's more of a fleshy area. It's not something that gets preserved. It's not a bone, so it's not something that's normally preserved. But they realized during their study that it is a multi-purpose opening.
Oh, yeah, it surely is.
They used it for pooping and peeing and breeding and egg laying.
Yeah, I told you.
Everything.
So I've been trying to tell you for years.
And they claim that this particular one that they're looking at also has the remnants of two small bulges by its quote back door, which may have housed like musky scent glands that they used during courtship and stuff. I'm pretty sure they even found some petrified poo in there.
Oh wow, wow! We've reached a new height here. Mm-hmm. It's wow. I don't even okay.
Okay, so what he said?
Just hold on.
Okay.
I got to get this out of my head, man. It's just
right.
I can just see it now. I can just see the doctor. I can just see. And what we have here, gentlemen, is we found this specimen somewhere around 1984, but it's still so good and preserved. You see this? This is the whole hind quarters, if you will, of the Plasma Cosmos. And it's just, look, sorry, Sarah, what was that? It's a Plasma Cosmos. Don't worry about it. It's a hippopotamus. But you see here, oh my God. I never really. 1 second, please. Is he sniffing that? No. Or somebody give me a flashlight. Oh my Lord. The hole is intact. All right. Just wait, is he dropping his trousers? What is it? I gotta check something. It still works.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, what in the hell? Would you even report it?
Well, so previously he had studied this. The specimen was found in China. It's from the Cretaceous period, and they were studying it to determine its skin color. And I suppose when he got a chance to look at it again up close and personal, that's when he realized that the butthole was still there. Now, his study co-researchers, one is Robert Nichols, a paleo artist, and the other one is Diane Kelly, who is an expert on vertebrate penises and copulatory systems at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst.
I got into the wrong field.
That's her job.
Yeah.
She's an expert on that.
Well, she would be intimidating on a date, wouldn't she?
She would be.
I mean, like...
I'm not entirely sure why I guess because...
Do you want to come upstairs?
No. I'm good with this, actually. Hopefully we can go see the Philharmonic tomorrow night and, talk about your feelings.
I was kind of hoping you'd want to come upstairs and take a look at some of my latest specimens. They get me kind of randy, to be honest with you. I'm sure they do. No, I'm good. I'm really good. I focus on the African continent. No, I'm good. We'll see you later.
Well, she's on the study for the copulatory system issue of it because it does point out that none of the reproductive soft tissues like the penis were preserved, just this hole. So they can't tell if this is even a male or female.
I read that the penis used to have a bone.
Did you?
Yeah, I read that recently. I didn't go to the story,
right.
But there was a story in one of the scientific journals I was looking at as the reason we lost our bones and our penises. Now, I can tell you the reason without reading it. It's when that never region comes into play. It just happens. I don't care how far back in time you go. There was a caveman getting slam busy, and
he broke a bone.
Well, he hit the no region, and it just snapped.
Oh, wow.
I mean, come on, man. It's bad enough as is. There's been severe cartilage damage several times, but no.
Well, anyway, interesting story. I love that the researcher claimed that it was like a Swiss Army knife of excretory openings. It does everything.
Yeah, it really does.
Yes. And that they found fossilized poop. I thought that was great.
Well, that person, we know how they hashtag. I mean, although it does give me hope on the uses of, we got to study later.
Right,
All right.
right. All right. So I have a few more stories here that I want to go over just here at the end of the show. And the first one is sort of just a roundup of some celebrity news, paranormal news.
Right.
And I like hitting these stories because, you find them all over the place. People telling about their paranormal experiences. And let's start with, of course, there was another story with Demi Lovato spotting another UFO and posting the video on Instagram. You know that she's been into the whole contact in the desert stuff. And now I don't know if what she saw this time was an actual UFO. Some people were like, oh, those are just balloons. But there were 3, and they were in a particular triangular, fashion. And they didn't come out of that shape. So it was interesting, and it was daytime. So you can go to her Instagram and look at the video. It is very strange. There was another story about Liam Payne, who was, I think, a One Direction member.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you probably didn't know who that was. I think he used to sing with One Direction. But he had a haunted mansion. He finally sold it recently, and he had to lower the price by $4 million just to be able to sell it because it had, this haunted story attached to it. And he claims that his girlfriend would not sleep in certain rooms, And when they first purchased the mansion, a stranger approached his mother in the street to inform her that there was a ghost in the house, and his name was Alan. And that things would happen, like taps would come on in the middle of the night. There would be lights go on and off.
Like the military song taps?
No, like water taps would go on and off.
Much less creepy.
Yeah, the song taps would be definitely creepy. Lights would go on and off and things like that. But he said he's of the mind that if you don't believe in it, it doesn't really get to you.
I don't know, man. So the girlfriend's like, he's like, she won't sleep in any room I'm in. It's so weird, but I hear her hollering the ghost's name in the middle of the night. Alan! She told me no matter what not to come in and check. I've got to sell this house.
Well, he did say that the lights came on at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. I think she was pregnant at the time, and she just felt really uncomfortable in one of the bedrooms. And so
way to make me feel bad about it.
He would, I think he said they would sleep in like the theater room, and he would just play Xbox, and she would sleep.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
There's a story with Kate Blanchett, and I love her house. Her house is so interesting. It's a Victorian estate. It was originally built in 1890, and it was previously known as Potter's Manor, or I think sometimes it was called Steep Park, but it has its own Facebook page because before she bought it, it was an abandoned location. And you can go to this Facebook page.
It was bored and it made its own page.
And all the posts are from like 2000, maybe 2010, and it was completely demolished. Demonic symbols, graffiti everywhere, pentagrams, like it was horrible. And then she ended up buying it and redoing it. It's beautiful now. But this whole story is about her finally getting the permission to build a meditation room on her property there next to her haunted mansion. It didn't have anything paranormal why she couldn't do it. She has a colony of rare bats making their home in like this building she wants to tear down, and she can't tear it down because they're endangered. She has to figure out what to do with them first.
You build a cave and you put something there
there's an idea. So she did get permission, but she has to figure out how to rehome the bats first. But
grandfather clock. Just get it. Fire pole. I've seen it done.
I love her house. You have to go look at the pictures because then you can find the Facebook page, and it's so creepy. And I can't believe she lives in that house. It has to be haunted. So one more story was from a movie that we love, The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Oh, yeah.
And this is an article about the director, Scott Derrickson, talking about weird things that happened during the filming. And I think what happened was someone had posted this meme or this picture of the star, Jennifer Carpenter, and it said, the post read that the actress who played the title role reported that her radio would turn itself on in the middle of the night several times while filming the movie. And it also would play one section of the Pearl Jam song Alive, and the part where it recited the phrase "I'm still alive" over and over again.
The last 3 minutes of the song.
Without any explanation. But that was something that happened to her during this filming. And also her co-star, Laura Linney, would...
Dear Laura Linney. Long story.
Her radio or television or something turned on 2 or 3 times.
I guess I should give some context to the Laura Linney thing.
We probably should. People are going to think we just hate Laura Linney.
No. I don't have anything against Laura Linney. But so on PBS, we were addicted to Downton Abbey. Now, we did finish Downton Abbey.
We finished it and watched the movie.
Yeah, that's how much we love Downton Abbey because we would like to live in Downton Abbey. And anyway, so as we were watching it, anybody who watched it on PBS, at the first of it, it always says, PBS is glad to say donations from folks like you, which they're not like you because they can donate $1 million to public broadcasting.
That's right.
Which if I had $1 million, I wouldn't donate.
I wouldn't be watching public access television anyway.
So, then, and it's like, hi, I'm Laura Linney. And it was like at the first of every one, and like 3 episodes in, Raja was already fed up, and you gotta understand the level of shade with Raja. Sweetest girl ever made, okay? The sweetest girl ever made. Mm-hmm. She wouldn't harm a fly, but every now and then, every so often, when the weather is right and the moon is full, you'll get an F you, Laura Linney. And it would just be...
it just bothered her.
It was just one night we were sitting there, and that's when Raja had the recliner. She was extra salty back then. And so she's sitting there beside us in the recliner, and it's like, hi, I'm Laura Linney. And she's just like, hi, Laura Linney.
It's because it was like this really, we want to watch the show, but then you got to listen to 2 minutes of Laura Linney shelling things.
We laughed so hard about that, it became a family ritual.
Yes.
And the weird thing is when people are over now, Laura Linney pops up from time to time. It's going to happen.
It does.
And anytime we ever hear the name, I don't care if we were in church and somebody was named Laura Linney, there's going to be a, here, Laura Linney. Yeah. And we all would chant it together. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure our neighbors at different times is like really
trying to figure out why
Can
we're
you imagine
screaming.
our FBI list? Like, and they think they're clever. Like when we first moved in the place we're in now, there was like a shoot freaking CIA person beside us. And it was really strange, right? It was strange. Mm-hmm. And now there's an FBI person beside us, just right beside us, bedroom to bedroom, you know. And and sits out in his damn car all the time. Yeah. In the driveway, it's listening to stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's why we just don't care though. I mean, we don't care. No. We want it to be interesting, and God knows what was that happened at the beach with our you remember our magical haunted bed?
Yes, the bed was moving on its own.
I would dare say their bed's haunted.
Poor Laura Linney's gonna have like extra protection now. She could be like, I don't know, I think there's people are sending death threats at me.
There's these weird ghost hunters after me. I don't know why.
I don't know what I ever did.
All I ever did was donate my time to the PBS. They got PBS hate.
Laura Linney sounds terrible. Yeah, like she smokes 6 packs a day.
It's been a hard year. 2020 affected us all differently. Laura Linney sounds like a 47-year-old maniac.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's move on to this next story. And this is about a woman. Her name is Dang Pravatutum. That's her name.
Cut.
And she recently won a $47 million lottery jackpot. And she won by using the numbers from her husband's dream.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that awesome? So you don't put off on those dreams, people. So now this has been several decades that
She's been using the same number?
Yes, the same numbers for 2 decades, and she finally won. Isn't that amazing? I think it'd be more amazing if he dreamt it and she won the next day.
Well, yeah.
But be persistent with your dream numbers. Clearly, they're there for a reason.
Her name's Dang.
D-E-N-G.
Ding.
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 Mm-hmm.
Dang. Ding.
Ding. Ding. Ding. Ding. Dang. Ding.
I can't.
I wonder where she's from originally.
I don't know. This was in Ontario, so this is the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation. I don't know where she's from originally, but she said that she's really happy she won. She's going to be able to help her children out more, and she's going to buy them whatever they want, and cars, new clothes, whatever.
Dang.
Yeah. So I thought this was really funny because obviously she's been playing the lottery every week for 20 years.
Let me go ahead and state this for the record. Mm-hmm. If we win the lottery, the damn kids ain't getting nothing. They're not getting nothing. Now, when we die, yeah, they'll get something.
Right. They're going to have to wait. I don't know if I would say that because...
No, only one of them. There's only one of them, and that one distributes. That's how it is now.
Yes.
There's one kid getting everything, and that kid will distribute everything as that kid sees fit. I'm not even saying which kid, okay? So if you happen to screw up and kill me, you might not be the kid.
That's right.
And the kid is not going to, when you find out who it is.
The kid's not going to give you anything. Yeah, so that's not going to work. Yeah. This story made me think of, and I don't know, did you ever watch those Amazing Stories show, like when we were younger?
Of course I did.
I think it was on that show. I don't know. There was this episode that stuck with me for so long, and it was about this guy who was told by a leprechaun, I guess. I think it was supposedly a leprechaun, to hold on to everything that he holds dear. Like he wanted to be rich. And the leprechaun was like, sure, I'll make you rich. Just hold on to everything that you find dear. Anything you have that you cherish, hold on to it. And so it goes through this man's whole life, and finally he's super, super old, and he's homeless, and he's living in this shack just surrounded by a bunch of crap that he used to have when he was a kid. And his whole life was horrible and wretched, and he never got married, and it was awful until one day he's begging for money, and this lady in this really ritzy car sees this cup he's holding and wants it because it's like an antique. And next thing you know, he's rich because he sold all of the stuff he had in that little shack house. And now, but he's like super old,
right?
But he's rich like he wanted to be. And that show bothered me so much because I thought, what a waste of time.
That's how it works, though.
I know, but he could have sold that stuff earlier. The leprechaun could have been more forthcoming with information. I don't know. For some reason, it always bothered me, but it made me think of it because this woman, she's like, oh, we got lottery numbers in a dream. Fantastic. 20 years later.
Yeah, we don't know anybody that holds on to stuff like that, do we?
I'm sure it pays off.
Yeah.
It pays off.
So, I don't hold on to anything. I'm lucky to keep my pants through a day. If somebody wants them, I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. I don't hold on to anything.
No, I don't either.
Stacey and I are the same. We don't look at earthly possessions.
I mean, we do have things. We have a little box of like keepsakes and stuff, but as far as stuff like that, it's
barely made it. Our keepsakes have barely made it.
Yeah, it's because I hide them away.
Yeah.
Well, and they're not really worth anything. They're just special to us.
Yeah.
They're sentimental. So, all right, last story. And this is a story about an expo that is going across the country this year, and it's called the All Things Weird Expo.
Oh.
Now, it kicked off recently in San Diego. It was on the 16th, and they had a pretty good showing there. I think they had about 2,000 people come out, and it's called
I thought that was called the Pride Parade.
Its official title is the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. And they're planning on going all the way across the country, and
2,000 people come out. It was a joke.
Oh.
You said they had about 2,000 people come out. I didn't want people to think I was saying something bad.
Oh, I see. I totally missed that joke. I'm glad you explained.
Yeah, I wanted to explain that one because where you didn't put it over, somebody might have got the wrong idea. It was supposed to be humorous. So.
Well, the cool thing about this expo is that if you want to be a vendor there, you have to apply, and they have to accept you based on the odd and curious items that you sell. There is a lot of taxidermy and specimens, odd antiques, horror merchandise, original artwork.
You'd be like, here's a table.
Animal and human skulls and bones, jewelry made from insects, anything odd and curious that you can think of is going to be at this expo. And they do have some things that are not quite as circusy. They've got like lamps and jewelry and a few religious items, the people that make like weird dolls and stuff like that. That's what you're going to find at this expo. And they're hoping that they're going to be able to hit all of their locations, but they can't guarantee it because of the plague. But their next stop is San Francisco, and then after that, in February, they're going to be in Knoxville.
Oh, well, there you go.
But there is a website. It's odditiesandcuriositiesexpo.com. Go there, check out all their dates. It's only $10 to get in, and you can find, raccoon and coyote penis bones.
Oh, yeah.
You can find, I even think that at every single one of these events, you can pay to be in a jackalope taxidermy workshop.
Wow.
All supplies.
Man, you're really getting me worked up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they give you all the supplies and you make your own taxidermy jackalopes. So,
all right.
A lot of macabre stuff there, but sounds like something we would really enjoy. I kind of want to go.
Okay, we'll go.
All right. So that's all my news.
Well, thank you very much for your weird butthole penises and all this stuff.
You're welcome.
What a weird week it's been.
It has been.
Anyway, listen, folks. We need your help, and the only way we can get your help is if you go to patreon.com/Paranormal Sideshow. You go to facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. Give us a little licky like. You go somewhere to YouTube and check out our new little clips we do of stuff and share it with your friends. Mm-hmm. So they'll be amazed and horrified at the same time, knowing what you've been up to. And that's youtube.com/Paranormal Sideshow. But for my lovely wife, Stacey, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.